Auto-destruct sequence has been initiated.
Here we go. All right, here we go. Whoops, that. Hey, everybody, we're here to talk about Star Trek. Let's do that. Okay, well, turn that off. Let's get that going. And we got our panel now. Woo, okay. I got to get better with the movements on these things. But hey, we're here to talk Live Long and Podcast. We're here on our new night, Friday night, or Thursday night. I'm sorry. We used to be Friday nights. Join the change in, as they say. And we're talking Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 25 or 23, depending on who you ask, The Omega Glory. And it, from 1968. And we're here talking about this on Live Long and Podcast, part of our classic Trek rewatch series here with my father and Jeff's father, Ted Mater, who I'll introduce first while I'm bringing him up. Hey, Ted. Dad,
Mater here.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's great. Okay.
Just back from the PGA Tour today with Frank Rowe and great Bob Crutchlow.
Oh, you went out with the curling guys, did you?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
3 times a week. Tomorrow I play with Frank Rowe and the immortal, yes, the immortal, Jim Homestead.
Jim
pay you for the plug, or
he should.
There you go.
All right. Of course, joining us, we have Jody Simpson. How you doing, Jody?
I am good.
And watching in real time, we got Jeff Mater, my brother, who's catching up.
Down there. Whoa!
Yeah,
Jeff, about 5 minutes in now.
Jeff's is actually watching the episode as we're podcasting, so he'll be chiming in as he's getting through it.
We're going to call him Ever Ready Jeff
especially
Mater.
when you get to that ending. But here, we're talking the Omega Glory, and wow. Okay, this is probably one of my least favorite original series episodes. And that's saying a lot. There's some stinkers out there. So this might be one of them. And a lot of it has to do with this. Yes, all the Americana in this episode.
None of us heard that, Dave.
What do you mean?
No, we didn't hear anything.
We just heard you go, ha ha. We're all like, what's he happy about?
I think you have technical difficulties.
I clearly do. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well.
How about you tell us what it is that you?
It was like dun, 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 dun.
Oh, are you talking the fight music?
No, I'm talking that Star Trek like "Oh Say Can We See" riff that they threw into the score, and all the American Constitution stuff.
Yes, it's a very American-friendly episode of Star Trek.
But there's also some good stuff in this episode that I really like. It's just the ending really sours me every time, where I'm like, okay, why? Like, I know that they do this all the time, where like things like parallel evolution. So on this planet, there were also Americans and communists, and they also had an American flag and a constitution and all these other things. And they wrote identically what they wrote in the United States Constitution on Earth.
Yep.
This was an Omega. Omega 4.
What was the Alpha? No,
I don't know where the Alpha was, but this planet was called Omega
4. So I guess the glory was everlasting youth, which was what Captain Tracy became obsessed with. And that's the other big part of this episode is sort of the dichotomy between Captain Kirk and Captain Tracy, the captain of the Exeter, and sort of a good man gone bad. The difference between Kirk and Tracy, just one bad day. It's an interesting question. And there's also just a lot of like fun fight sequences with Kirk having that wrestling match with.
I wouldn't say they were fun. They were fight sequences.
Why is the other captain wearing a different comm badge thing?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Okay, I'll explain that. So in the original series,
every ship has a different one, right?
Every ship has a different symbol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of like the idea of like like an assignment patch, right? Like if you were like on Apollo
Like if
11.
you're on Apollo 11, you'd have the mission badge.
Right. So the Delta symbol, like at the time when they wrote this original series, it was meant to be like that one is unique to the Enterprise, and every ship has their own. But then it was too confusing. So when they got to the movies, they just rolled it out that everybody had that icon. And largely, they haven't really respected that in canon going back. Like they kind of have retconned it a lot. That no, that's just the Starfleet icon with the one the Enterprise wore. They don't honor that too faithfully anymore because I think it confuses people. Even big fans of Star Trek don't even really understand it.
Yeah.
So, Dad, what do you think about this episode?
Well, this episode was very interesting. It was, they had this ship that's been orbiting in what seems to be in Eternum around this planet, which I thought after a while, wouldn't it run out of fuel and crash?
Well, no, it's orbit.
The Exeter?
No, not necessarily. It's in orbit. It's
Yeah,
kind of on autopilot.
When you're in orbit, you've matched the velocity, so you just keep going.
But wouldn't it eventually run out of fuel and crash?
There is no fuel in this scenario.
Yeah, there is. It's called dilithium.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is,
right.
you orbit something, you don't have to have fuel.
They don't need a lot of energy to stay.
They're using the same inertia over and over again
to stay in orbit. Like the ship doesn't have to do much.
I don't know.
It's like the International Space Station, Ted.
Right.
They don't fire anything to keep it in the same spot. It just keeps going around.
Oh, okay.
Until it comes into contact with something.
Well,
then that would cause an issue.
Right.
Well, I was concerned when they went to the Exeter and all the people were in their uniforms, but it turned into white powder. It was very unnerving.
They turned into salt. It looks like
it made me.
Yeah,
Wow.
the chemical.
What if they
Yeah,
got
they
some
turned it
rock
into-
salt and just threw it on the ground? They're like, "That's a
Well, that's
person."
basically what it is. They probably had a bag of salt for the sidewalks outside.
They got it from
outside the
Pakistan, Jeff.
Yeah, it was Himalayan salt.
The guys who did that thing in Pakistan.
Yeah, the Himalayan salt. Although it would be pink if it was Himalayan salt.
That's true.
But yeah, I love the McBones' explanation. He's like, "Look, Jim, we're 96% water. You take that away, I guess we're just salt."
Rock salt. It was a crude implementation, but it's what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I guess like it's meant to be like a person. The idea of like we're 99% water, I guess, was a newer idea in the 60s, or like a newer kind of thought. So they just riffing on that. But this disease has wiped out the crew of the Exeter. That's how this starts. So the Enterprise comes to this planet. They're just exploring things, and then the Exeter is in orbit. They're not expecting to find the Exeter there. I think he says, I didn't hear of any trouble, but the Exeter has been. What they find is that the crew is all dead, and it's been in orbit for about 6 months, just kind of sitting up there.
Set adrift.
Right, and
Yes.
there was
And
kind of
the
a
planet. It's like Tibet. Hey.
well, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's talk. We'll get into the planet itself because the final little message we get from the doctor. The doctor gives like this final little message on the bridge to the crew. He's like, "The disease has wiped us out, and Captain Tracy." And before he can tell you anything about Captain Tracy, he dies, right? And so yeah, I guess this leads them to go down to the planet to kind of figure out what happened next. And
Yes.
this is the other thing I don't like about this episode, which is like on this planet, okay, so there are two indigenous groups, I guess. I'm led to believe they're the same species, I think. So you got the Combs, who look Asian in
The Yangs.
and the Yangs, who are Caucasian.
Coms are at war with the Yangs.
Yeah. So I get they run into Captain Tracy pretty quickly after they arrive, right? And they kind of what is it? Captain Tracy says something like, "Oh, well, it took the while for the Combs to get used to me thanks to my white skin," or or whatever. I don't know what the hell this was. Like what? Just like I don't know. Like, but basically, what we're led to believe is the Combs are the sophisticated civilized people, and the Yangs are like these savages. Like,
Quick question.
Yeah.
The scene here where, the captain of the Exeter there, he's got the phaser and he shoots the red shirt and he dies. Okay, and then it comes back after commercial, and Kirk, he has Kirk's communicator. He's talking to Sulu and Uhura, and then like, why does Kirk need to grab the communicator to be able to use it? Like, isn't it like a phone? Like, wouldn't like why does he need to grab it? Like, Sulu.
Oh wait, he yells up to Sulu because they're kind of like have him under duress there.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Okay.
Presumably the microphone would pick him up.
I mean, for the time, I get why, because I guess every phone you would have had to put up to your ear and stuff, right? So even the fact that he's talking to like this in Star Trek is
a speakerphone, man. That's high tech.
Yeah, it's a horrible
speakerphone. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Just like this whole planet.
Yeah, I don't know
what's
what
going on here.
Plot.
But there was this war, the disease. This disease is where the planet is where the disease came from. That wiped out the Exeter, and they all are immune now. Like anybody who's on like Tracy tells Kirk, anybody who's on the planet is okay. So now you're stuck here with me. In fact, what happens next? How soon do they figure out that Tracy? Oh yeah. Because they go scouting. Spock kind of goes looking around, and Spock figures out he was telling us the truth, all except for one thing. He's been, he's been using his phaser to help the Combs fight the Yanks.
Yeah, he's been killing like thousands of them.
And they realize that he's breaking the Prime Directive pretty heavily here. And as it turns out, Tracy was eavesdropping on their whole conversation because he comes in with his Comb buddies a couple minutes later, and they kind of put them all under arrest. I think they put McCoy working on the experiments, the medical experiments, and Kirk and Tracy basically says to Kirk, "These Combs, they've been alive for hundreds of years, thousands of years, some of them. There's a fountain of youth here, and this is what we have to try to figure out. This is why I'm doing it."
The one guy's 462 years old, Dave.
Wow.
And the music goes do 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 do.
Like it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable
that is
guy,
unthinkable.
Yeah.
Even though, isn't like Spock like 200 and some years old?
Well, no,
Yeah.
Spock's not, but Vulcans live to be 300 plus. So
Right.
They've met other long-lived species. I don't know why this would be a big deal, but it is apparently. So that's what. So Tracy is clearly a man gone mad. He has lost his handle, and he's not quite with it. Would that be fair to say,
I feel
Dad?
like this is loosely based off Ponce de Leon.
What's Ponce de Leon? Forgive me.
Yeah. What's that?
What is Ponce de Leon?
I feel like it's based. You know who Ponce de Leon was? He was
No.
the guy who was trying to find the Fountain of Youth.
Oh, okay. Then yes, in that way he is. He's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like everything with Tracy, like, because we don't know Tracy before this episode, he just comes across as like a villain, a madman. I think that there's a line later, like, it's kind of like what struck me about this was that how many times does Kirk come into conflict with other captains in this show?
All the time.
He gets
All
into
the time.
fist fights.
It's like every 5 episodes.
Always in a fist fight.
That guy actually could fight pretty good for his age.
Well, of course, he was on the planet with the Fountain of Youth.
I don't think we ever see
That's
Picard
true.
like get into a fist fight, do we?
Picard, not so much.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, you see him like when they flash back to like his earlier days. He's fighting people in bars.
That's right. That's the only
Yeah.
episode.
That's about the only time you really see him fight.
That's a
Yeah.
different actor. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, Kirk is a rock'em sock'em punch him out captain, and that's how he goes. So, like later on, we get this fight to the death with Captain Tracy and Kirk.
Well, it was more like fight to the retirement home. It's the fucking slowest fucking fight ever. But anyway.
Yeah. And eventually, so when did they kill the red shirt guy? Is that right after he kind of reveals that he's?
I don't remember.
He walks in and he just like straight up like executes him when he's like laying down, and he has like this little torn shirt right here.
Yeah, and I guess he reaches for his phaser, right?
Yeah, I think maybe that's what happens.
Right. But okay,
Oh, that is right. Yeah, he does. He goes to get his phaser and he just shoots him.
when that red shirt guy dies, they never bring him up again. They never talk about him.
He's a red shirt. Doesn't matter.
They had a name. His name was Lieutenant something.
Yeah, they all have names.
Well, not all the red shirts get names. This one got a
There's
name.
no high-ray heroes in Star Trek for red shirts. I can tell you that.
Okay, it stood out to me just because later on when Tracy nearly kills Spock by like vaporizing that machine thing, like Spock's injured on the ground and Kirk is much more upset about that than he is about this guy. Like I get why, but it's also it just kind of stood out to me.
Well, those red shirt guys, they're brought on for one reason, to get shot.
That's right.
Well, he did his job in that.
They're the Marines of Starfleet. That's really what they are.
But it kind of raises the stakes with Tracy right off the bat. He's a murderer. Like he's killed another Starfleet guy. He doesn't go, hey, drop it or give him a chance. And later on he says he's willing to do the same thing to Spock and McCoy. He's like, I'll burn down both your friends if you don't come with me and work with me on this scheme to get the Fountain of Youth or whatever it is. I don't know. Like, I like that part of this episode. I think that Tracy is interesting. I think that Kirk and Tracy are interesting. But everything else, like, I don't know.
Well, the natives are they're terrible. I'm sorry. They're just
Coles?
terrible. Like the girl and the guy
The
that
Coles?
they end up
Oh,
getting.
you mean the Yangs?
The Yangs. Yeah, they're
The Yang.
they're just something else. The acting is just bizarre. Like the woman wasn't too bad, but she barely spoke. And then the man who only speaks once in a while, when he did finally speak, it was just brutal. And it's like, yeah, I understand it's supposed to be different and all that, but these people have the ability.
That was the Yangs, right? They were
The Yangs. Yeah.
These people have the ability to basically completely copy something that already exists in another universe. They have the mentality to make a Declaration of Independence and all this stuff, but yet they can't string words together, but yet the document proves they can.
Well,
so
their ancestors could, right? Because that's the thing, is that there was some kind of nuclear war and
some of them got dumbed down.
They got dumbed down over time because they were living in the woods or
I guess
whatever.
I didn't catch that part, but all right.
Like, I guess what they were going for here was like, it's cowboys and Indians, but we're gonna switch the ethnicities around, right?
Yes.
So the Indians are the white guys, and and vice versa, right? So it's like I guess like it doesn't do much for me. I don't know if it did at the time or not, but it's just so weird. And the guy who plays, I think his name is Cloud. He's like the chief of the Yangs. He's a stuntman.
Yeah.
He's a stuntman. He didn't so they just I think he was cast.
Okay. So he wasn't even an actor.
Not much of one.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, he was in a few things here and there, but he was mostly known as a stuntman.
The girl was probably a stunt person as well.
Yeah, they were cast.
The girl wasn't bad though. Like at least you got the emotion out of her. Whereas the guy, like when he's like, they're fighting in the jail cell, which I don't know if you're at to yet, Jeff. But
yeah, so I was going to comment about that. I just watched that actually.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about the fight, because I guess so. Tracy throws Kirk in there with Cloud and this girl, and he has to fight both of them for a while.
And Spock's in the jail cell, kind of egging Kirk on. He's like,
when will villains realize that you're not supposed to lock up everybody?
Yeah, this is maybe my favorite part of the episode because it's ridiculous. It goes on forever.
It is the biggest example of time filler I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
right. But we get that.
The first time they used that.
They left him in jail just long enough for Spock to do his thing there.
Right. Well, Spock. Yeah. So Spock. My favorite part of this episode, or this whole sequence, is Spock, because he's just throwing little jabs and comments.
Kirk the whole time.
Are
you there, Jim?
He's like, Jim, and he's like, "Oh, that's it, Jim. Try using logic. Their behavior is highly illogical." And he's just like, "Good, Captain. Try to reason with them." And he's just like,
my favorite is after he gets hit in the head with the bar.
Yeah,
gets hit in the head with the bar. He wakes up and he's apparently been out for 6 hours or something like that. And he goes to Spock. He's like, "How long was I out, Spock?" And he goes, "Oh, about 6 hours."
No, he's
he
very
just says it
specific.
so nonchalant.
He says 7 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.
7 hours and 10 minutes, Captain.
Yeah, he's very specific. Again, the Enterprise never really checked on them.
How is Spock keeping time?
He was just counting. He had nothing else to do. He just was counting seconds until he woke up. Until the captain woke up.
I think they got other reasons, but anyway.
Unless he's got an internal chronometer.
Yeah, he might have one planted in his wrist.
Maybe.
We don't know.
This episode is mostly so boring that we're actually talking about other things than that.
Yeah, it was after the fight sequence. They come back because Kirk basically works with the Yangs to get out, but as soon as they get like the bars off, the Yangs
he whops him in the fucking back of the head.
And so Kirk and Spock eventually get out of the jail cell. They hook up with McCoy, and McCoy kind of explains to them that, hey, it's not the planet. It's not that the planet has a fountain of youth. It's just that the species here evolved to live long because they had to survive the nuclear wars and all this kind of stuff. So their physiology is different. They're adapted to it, and we're all immune from the virus that killed everybody on the Exeter. So we can go back to our ship at any point. And so Spock's trying to call, and that's when Tracy vaporizes the communications device, and Spock nearly gets vaporized himself. And he explains to Tracy, "There's no serum. There was no cure. This is all for naught. There's no everything you've done here was pointless." And I don't know, Tracy is still trying to riff on this quite a bit, trying to convince Kirk to join him in this insane plot to rule this planet, the Omega planet, or whatever it is.
Why would you want to rule these people?
And it's
That's
also
Omega 4.
What's that?
I think it's I don't know.
Omega 4.
I know, but why would you want to rule this planet? It's terrible.
It's terrible. They live a long time, I guess, but
yeah, great. That doesn't mean you're going to.
Whatever. Yeah, and just
maybe they bring in. Maybe they can mine things for the Federation.
Maybe. But just this whole thing with Tracy kind of talks about his obsession with the Yangs and how he helped the Combs kill thousands of them with his phaser.
Yes.
He kind of really testifies to in this part of the extent of his crimes. It's not that he just helped them; he really helped them, and his crimes are massive. I don't get it. Your crew died, but does this justify what he's doing? Is this supposed to make us, or is this?
I think the whole point is to show us that what's his name,
Tracy.
It's to show us that Captain Tracy is literally off his knocker. He's done. We can't make him too nice, because if we make him too nice, then when Kirk beats his ass, and I use that really not very strongly, I guess we're supposed to still sympathize for Kirk. But in reality, it's I don't really sympathize for anybody in this situation. They're all terrible.
Terrible.
This episode isn't a very good episode. I'm sorry. I can't hold this.
Well, Dad, do you like this episode?
No, I don't. I thought I have to throw in a stinker. Because I think...
See it here? I thought he was picking the episodes he really likes, right?
Don't worry, because I got a surprise later for the end of the show.
Oh, good.
On what the next episode we'll watch, which is a lot better, I think.
Does it have a Gorn in it?
It might have a Gorn in it. Do you know that episode?
If it's the one with the Gorn in it, I do.
Yeah, you know what it's called?
Not off the top of my head.
It's called Arena.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to get to this first. We can't do it all, Ed.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Omega glory in all of its glory.
Well, I don't know where the glory part comes in, but
yeah, okay, and then pretty much after this is when I guess the Yangs have now stormed the city. Well, there's a fight between Tracy and Kirk, and they fist fight some more.
Yeah, trust me, you're not missing anything by us explaining.
Yeah, I'm glazing over that because
as you should.
The Yangs take over the city again, and then they take the prison.
Yes.
I lost audio.
Oh.
You guys still there?
No, I'm still here, but Dave's gone cold.
Oh, there we go. Dave's moving now.
I'm moving again. Sorry, you guys all froze on me, so I was kind of wondering.
Yeah, I think it's your end that's the issue.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm having a lot of technical issues tonight.
It is. It's a very technical, non-friendly day today.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, sorry.
What were we? We were just talking about the Yangs take over, and then they start doing their. I just remember he starts doing the Pledge of Allegiance, badly like garbled version of it, and then but Kirk recognizes it and goes to
And then he starts reciting it like word for word.
To the Republic for which it stands, and all these things. And then so Tracy, not giving up, says, "Oh no, he's the devil. He's using your holy words against you." And Mr. Yangman doesn't know what to do, so he says, "Good must fight evil." And so there's got to be a knife fight to the death. Is what they decide here, and that goes on. So I don't know how many. There's quite a few fist fights in this episode for Kirk. He has like 3 distinct fist fights.
How many fights are there in this episode?
Oh, you haven't even got to all of them yet.
I'm at the last one finally, I think. There's still 7 minutes left. Like, Jesus Christ.
There's a lot of
There's
fights.
a lot of friggin' fights going on.
Does anybody know that Captain Tracy was in another Star Trek episode?
I did know that.
I didn't. Which episode?
Played a different character.
Yes, he was a wild-eyed madman, Simon Van Gelder, in Dagger of the Mind.
Dagger of the Mind.
Well, maybe we'll have to watch that eventually and say,
I don't know
the
names of them, so.
Remember Captain Tracy? I only remember like the really big ones, like Arena, but like he's a good actor in this part. I just don't know if it's as well written as I would.
Oh, okay, I know this one.
Terribly written. Anytime there's a 40-minute episode and they take time to have 3 different choreographed fights within the episode, someone didn't write much dialogue. Like Jody said, like, I've been watching this girl, and they're just reaction shots. Everything with her is a reaction shot. It's like,
everything's a reaction shot with her. Yeah.
Like,
So
she's like, right now she's like,
she's not hard to look at, so you know. I think-
I'm not
but, like,
complaining,
give her
I'm
a
just saying.
line. Like, Jesus.
yeah, I know. I don't know if she has any lines.
Back then, though, in the '60s, when they were doing these series, a lot of thought went into it.
Yeah, clearly. I feel like they took like 3 ideas and they jammed them together for this episode. A little bit.
It's almost like this should be a flashback episode.
Jeff, are you at the end? Are you past the fight yet?
I'm right now. The girl's got the communicator in her hand. She's opened it.
Oh, you're close to the end, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but now you're at the most infuriating part that I don't even know if I can talk.
All right, so
It's brutal. Yeah, it's
I'm
brutal.
gonna watch it here once.
Yeah, let's just watch his facial expressions while we talk.
Reactions in real time.
He's got the knife to his throat.
It's about to get bad.
Kill him.
I suppose if you're American, this would play well.
I think even if you're American, you're looking at this going, "This is dumb." like I get it. This episode aired in what, March 1st, 1968.
Yeah.
So the Vietnam War was in full swing.
Right. True.
So
they were fighting the communists.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons why they decided to do this episode. But
that's a good theory. I hadn't really considered that. I know it's height of the Cold War and all that.
Well, it is as well. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's more of the beginning of the Cold War.
Closer, yeah, because the height of the Cold War was what, 74?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when the height is officially, but
we need Jeff for that. Jeff would know.
Yeah.
But anyway, doesn't matter. We're watching him be bored while he's watching this episode. That really, honestly, like, if you freeze frame Jeff, that's really all I have to say about this episode. It's pretty fucking boring.
Can I get your rating while we're waiting for Jeff?
Absolutely, you can get my rating.
Sure, let's get your
I
rating.
love that line.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Recognize those words. You said them so badly.
Yeah. That's how I feel about most of the script.
Only the eyes of a chief may see the E25.
I heard that one.
Oh no, that was Jeff.
Oh, okay.
Jeff, play it. Just play it. We want to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hear the audio, Jeff.
You can't hear us. Yeah. What? Go on.
There are many such words as this from many lands, many worlds.
Here it is. It's
Many are
coming.
equally good.
We're gonna get a copyright strike, but it'll be fine.
Wherever we have gone, No words have said this thing of importance in quite this way.
It's like Shatner
3
vomiting.
words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words proudly saying, "We the people." That's what you call we.
This is a mirror. This is a mirror culture
For the warriors of the
who
rich.
happens to come up with the exact same wording.
Down the centuries, you have slurred the meaning of the words "we, the people of the United States," in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. For ourselves and our
Not music. It's just even the score. The score even drives you nuts. It's like listening to a dog whistle.
What the fuck is going on?
for the Yangs, but for the Calms as well. They must apply to everyone, or they
Imagine the pitch meeting for this episode. So they talk about all the stuff that happened before this, and then at the end they go, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna put 10 minutes in like President's Day. It's gonna be great."
That the holy words will be obeyed. I swear it.
How does he speak normal that way?
Why does he trust this guy? He just told him to still execute the.
They think that this is the Bible. They think this is holy words.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jeff, just shortly after that, Spock says, "Well, we know that Captain Tracy's guilty of violating the Prime Directive. Why are we not?"
Yeah, which they are.
They are. Like, this is
They
ridiculous.
totally are.
Whole episode. Who wrote this? Like, it's terrible. Like,
So
This
I'm
isn't
watching
even
this
Star
episode
Trek.
and I'm thinking to myself, why does Ted like this episode? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, there's got to be
I
something
don't
here.
have to like the episode to put it on. I have to give you
Clearly.
guys a couple of bums.
Oh, Ted, you know what? You threw a curveball, Ted. That's fine.
it's not the original series unless
Yeah.
you watch some of the real shitty episodes.
Well, you have to see the shit till you see
Yeah,
the good pile,
You
right?
gotta see a shit episode.
This isn't even the. I don't know if
Because
this
then
is
you'll
even.
appreciate.
I'm gonna bring that up right now. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay,
There's
but
a
this
lot
is.
of
Worst
racism.
episodes. I want to see if it's on it.
There's a lot of racism going on in this episode. You know.
Oh yeah, and a lot of political ideology and American chest pounding, and it just at a wrestling
Yeah, but
match.
Oh my god.
it was the Asian backlash of the '60s.
This is against
Okay.
the Vietnam War, right? That's why the Combs are all
Yeah.
Asians.
Okay, so I put
Yeah,
I
and
put
the
in
Yangs, the Yangs.
I
The
put
Yanks are
in
Russian.
the 5 worst episodes of Star Trek of original Star Trek episodes. All right, this is number 4.
I agree. I gotta say, it's one of the worst. It's one of my
guess who
least
wrote it?
favorite episodes.
Guess who wrote this?
This was Roddenberry.
Roddenberry.
Had to have been Roddenberry.
It was. It was Roddenberry.
So apparently, the worst episode is Spock's brain.
No. This is worse than Spock's brain, and I don't like Spock's brain.
Not according to this.
Well,
The Way of Eden,
because I don't. I
which
think
is
for,
the space hippies.
I don't. I think if you're not like even if you are American, but especially if you're not American, this is incredibly condescending and bullshit.
Oh, this is propaganda at its finest, boys. I don't know what you're bitching about.
This is the only episode where
They probably played this nonstop in Vietnam.
This is the only episode.
Nonstop. They probably just kept playing it.
It's the only episode where a victim of the Vulcan neck pinch actually makes a sound at the time of the pinch. Normally, like you just are incapacitated and you go silent, but the girl goes ah.
Yeah, yeah. Like somebody just hit her.
Yeah,
Ah!
and that is the Omega glory, lacking some glory. Okay, let's get this straight. This is an episode where Captain Kirk says a captain would rather die than violate the Prime Directive. That's what he says in his
Which is
personal log,
horseshit.
right? But even if we want to accept that, he does it at the very end of this episode because he just loves that they also have the U.S. Constitution, and he loves American history so much that he can't get over it. He's
Not
just like,
only that, though, but how many times has Kirk actually violated the Prime Directive? Come on.
this blatantly, especially after he said, "Don't violate the Prime Directive."
Yeah.
The ironic part is Shatner's Canadian, so it's so you got a Canadian spouting off all this American, we the people of the Constitution, which
I got a question
reflecting
for
the fact
you guys because I'm not sure what the answer is. Dave, you'll probably know. When he says Stardate 1358.2 or something. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Not in the original series. The star dates don't have.
Are garbage.
Yeah, they don't have any rhyme or reason to them. They don't.
So when they
Oh,
did
no?
next gen, one of the reasons why they went with the star dates was to keep track of the episodes. So the star dates actually make sense in next gen.
This takes place in 2268.
Yeah, but really, the
But
start.
not in.
Like the introduction of the star date as a plot device was to remind you that this is in the future. That's why they did it, and why they still do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a scientific like.
But it is actually trackable.
Yes,
I
like
would
in the
say-
later Star Treks, not in this one.
I would
Well,
say
the star
they-
date actually to calculate the star date, you have to start like March 1st, 2063 or something like that.
Is that how it works?
Is
Oh,
when it
from
started.
First Contact.
Yeah, I think it was from First Contact.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So,
No.
okay. What do we make of this episode? Let's talk about our ratings if we can. Hold on. Let me just get this in.
2.5.
I know I got yours. Let's just bring this up on screen.
Hopefully it won't reverb like it does every time we talk.
No, I turned off the audio. Hold on.
There we go.
Okay. So I'm giving this a 2.
I gave it more than optimistic Dave Mater. Wow.
Yeah. Right. Jeff, you got a
I'm
rating?
giving it a 5. I'm
5.
giving it a 5.
A 5?
That's very generous.
You're way too
I have
generous.
to give it a 5. I have to give it a 5 because I'm thinking that there was good effort into this one. You might not have liked the details, but the effort was there.
There was no
What
effort.
effort?
There was no
Effort.
There. Okay. 2
I
point
like the effort of Kirk.
2.25.
Spock were
I'll
doing-
split the difference between you and Jody.
2.25.
Oh, I have to bring it up. Then I'll have to go with a 6.
Okay. Now the IMDb rating. So our average is 2.9 for this episode. The IMDb rating is 6.2, which is the lowest of any episode we've done so far.
Which goes to show you that the IMDb ratings are goddamn horseshit.
Which goes to show me that my grading was a lot closer to actuality than your racism that was going on in this.
Our
episode.
racism. Well, maybe we're
Yeah.
racist against this racist episode. Perhaps. But, yeah. No. Yes, you're a little closer to the mainstream.
Oh
yes.
my god, guys! This was almost the pilot of Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe
It's
I just
not
read
good.
that. This was one of 3 scripts submitted
Yep.
to NBC, along with Star Trek Where No Man Has Gone Before and Star Trek's Mud's Women. When they were seeking to do a second pilot for the series, they ultimately chose to kickstart the series with Where No Man Has Gone Before. But this was one of the 3 scripts that was almost the pilot. Could you imagine?
Do you know who Harcourt Fenton Mudd is?
Oh, I know about Harry Mudd.
I know.
Yeah,
who
he's
he
on
is.
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, Harcourt Fenton Mudd. Did you ever see his wife?
Oh, I met her. I saw her before he even married her.
Yeah,
What the hell are we talking about?
Harry Mudd.
Harcourt Fenton Mudd.
Harry
You don't know,
Mudd-
you don't know who Harry Mudd
know who
is?
The name rings a bell, but I couldn't.
Oh,
tell
he's
you.
in he's in 2 classic original series episodes. He's like a lovable rogue guy
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah.
with a big
Only-
mustache.
With
And
a
I
big
mean-
The minute I
handlebar
see this picture,
mustache.
I'm like, okay, I know who it is now.
What is that what we're doing next?
Harcourt Fenton Mudd.
Okay, so there's 2 classic Harry Mudd episodes on the original series. Which one are we going to watch?
Well, there's the
We're
Mud
gonna
Women.
watch the Mudd's Women.
Well, we're going to watch Mudd's Women then.
That's the first one.
That's the
Yeah, we can do Mudd's Women. We'll move Arena to one more week.
Okay, so we're going to do Mudd's Women next week.
Yes. Where they look for, they need to go get some dilithium crystals at a remote planet that there's only 3 or 4 miners, 3 miners, I think, that live there. And they have to go and get some dilithium crystals or the ship will crash because as you'll find out next week, if you don't have dilithium crystals, your orbit will decay and you will crash. So this is you'll revert back to my previous questions about why the Exeter is still going around there with no, like eventually the dilithium crystals will run out.
Well,
I'm
lithium-
basing on science, Ted.
dilithium crystals, which don't exist, but if they did, they wouldn't run out for just 6 months of not using any energy. That would be like your car battery not working after a week or something.
You know, watch Mud's Women, and then you'll understand.
Okay. Well, yes, I think your orbit can decay if you don't have some kind of power, but
Yes, that's where they get the power.
right. But the power doesn't run out. They don't have to restock dilithium crystals as often as you would refill a gas tank.
No, but they lost a whole bunch of dilithium crystals in an episode, and like something happened along the way, so that's what happened.
So this is going to be season 1, episode 6 that we're going to be watching next week. Mud's Women, the first introduction of Harry Mudd, who has been featured prominently in Star Trek Discovery, for those who watch that show.
Which has a 6.8 on IMDb.
He's the only good thing about Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, so he's playing a younger version of Harry Mudd in that
Jody
show.
likes Star Trek Discovery, don't you, Jody?
No.
Isn't that your favorite?
No. I haven't even watched nearly as much as these two.
He's watched about 10 minutes of Star Trek Discovery.
It's repulsive, Ted. It is repulsive.
It's repulsive.
It's repulsive.
Well, I've never watched it, so I can't either confirm or deny.
Honestly,
that
Ted,
anymore.
your life is better off.
You wouldn't get through it. It's okay. So it's anyway. Any final thoughts on this episode before and we can put it behind us forever?
My final thought is I'll never watch this episode again.
We don't have to watch this one again.
I don't think I will.
My final thought is no episode needs 3 choreographed fights. None. No episode.
Well, it does when you only have 15 minutes of script.
When Gene Roddenberry was too busy, with his affairs,
Yeah,
that he didn't want to write dialogue.
Roddenberry was banging everything that moved on that set.
All the power to Roddenberry for what he created, but the man wasn't a very good writer.
No, he had a good concept and premise, and then he brought in like other great writers like Harlan Ellison and DC Fontana and others who created some amazing work with these characters. And the same thing with the Next Generation. He created all those Next Generation characters, but some of the best episodes are written by people who came along much later. And same with the movies. Like every time Roddenberry got more involved in a movie, it tanked.
Star Trek. Let me guess. He was very involved in the final.
Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 1.
Star Trek 1, Final 5, probably, right?
And
Final
5.
Yeah. Well, those are the movies that we universally say are terrible.
And then Star Trek season 1, quite a bit. And
like Next Gen.
Next Gen season 1.
That's terrible for the most part. I mean, there's a few good episodes. The first episode's good.
But they had all credit to Roddenberry, and he created Star Trek. But yeah, he didn't write the best episodes. He's not like the savior or anything like that.
He's like the creator of the show.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly what he is. He's the creator of Star Trek.
But when he gets, but like a lot of creators end up doing writing and directing on the show too. Or like Sam Esmail wrote and directed every episode of Mr. Robot. I mean, if Gene Roddenberry did that for Star Trek would not be a success.
Yeah, I'd say Roddenberry lived a very interesting life. This is a guy who went from World War II fighter pilot to commercial airline pilot to Los Angeles city cop to writer for TV shows, creator of Star Trek. Like, he kind of bounced around and did a lot of.
He was around a lot of prostitutes, is really what you're trying to say.
Well, I guess that you can infer that. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, and I guess as World War II, and he fought for America, and Vietnam War was going on. Maybe he wanted to just pay tribute to the troops. I don't know.
No,
not a great tribute.
This movie was self-serving American propaganda. That's what this is. I mean, and it makes sense.
I wouldn't be shocked if they just blared this over the loudspeakers.
Yeah, this has everything to do with what was going on at the time, which was Vietnam, and I'm guessing Gene Roddenberry was very anti-communist, even though Star Trek is very communist.
Essentially communist. Yeah.
But this episode is not positioned necessarily as anti-communist because he says, no, these words must apply to the comms and the Yangs, right?
Right. That's what he's saying in the episode, but the episode is a giant metaphor for what was going on at the time, and it's very.
Well, did we even cover where those names came from? They're actually Yankees and
Comms is communist. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just shortened, and then there's a point where Kirk figures that out or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, Kirk and Spock. Yeah,
they figure that out. Yeah,
right.
We didn't even touch on that because that would have been an exciting part of this episode.
It's
which
so
it clearly
dumb.
wasn't.
This whole thing is dumb. Like it's even
dumb
dumber than them introducing Nazi Germany to that other planet. Like it's
If we have to find something good about this episode, though, it didn't have a creepy Ron Howard relative playing an older alien with weird teeth.
Was that last week's episode?
Like that was pretty brutal at the end. Yes, the episode was good.
Yeah, that was last week's episode.
But that end is just woo.
It was much better than this.
It's almost like the Star Trek episodes, like the original episodes. The more I'm watching them, the more I realize like that last 10 minutes is really just it's fucking open. Anything can happen. It's just like you're like, okay, well, probably what's gonna happen is they're gonna come to some sort of settlement. Kirk is gonna take off. Nope. We have the reciting of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, and this is a guy who has been to multiple planets. There's the Federation Charter. I would imagine is more articulate than this. Like it's.
I wonder how many things they had to rewrite in Federation law because of Kirk.
I don't know.
They probably have like a whole like subsection, like a whole amendment to the.
They had to rewrite the Prime Directive, like.
Well, in hockey they have Brodeur's rule, stuff like that, where they've added into the actual rules because they figured out it was an exploit. Well, I wonder how many things that Shatner ended up doing that for Star Trek.
I wonder.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I think we've said all we can about this. I'm looking forward to watching.
We said more than we should have.
We said more than we should. More than this episode deserves. All right. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight on the show. Especially Jeff, who was watching it in real time, I think. Also,
just as disappointed.
Just to whoever's making noise, stop. And check out. Make sure to subscribe to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, Anchor audio feeds. You can listen to us to wherever you watch your or listen to your podcasts. We have our Super Mater Brothers podcasting channel, which we just finished up Survivor last week, the whole season, and what was it, Westworld we did, Jeff? And so we're on a bit of a hiatus right now with that show, but you can go back and look at all that. We'll be doing some new scripted TV over there soon. And this Saturday, we'll be doing, here on Live Long and Podcast, we'll be reviewing the next Star Trek movie in our Star Trek movie series, which is Star Trek First Contact.
Or as I like to call it, the last good one.
The last good one before it's a steep decline after that.
Well, I mean, I think
it's more like a valley, I think.
I think it's going to be more like a heartbeat. There's going to be, you know what?
I'm with Jeff on this one.
I do think that I was watching a little bit of Insurrection, and there are good scenes within Insurrection.
It's a bad movie, though.
The problem with Insurrection is the villain. He's terrible.
Okay, we'll save it for 2 Saturdays from now because we got to talk Insurrection there. And
we're just giving it's a preview.
Yeah, it's called a tease, Dave.
It's a teaser.
I get it. And on Tuesday on our Deep Space Nine Star Trek rewatch podcast, which
you guys are coming to the conclusion it's going to take you 8 years to watch them all.
It's 3.5 years, Jody. If we never miss a week.
Wow.
So
that's dedication, boys.
We've made it up to episode 7, and we're going to be doing an episode called Q-less next week, which is the only Deep Space Nine episode with Q. So that's
not a bad episode, actually.
Check that one out. All right, I'm gonna say good night, and wishing you a great tomorrow, everybody. So live long and podcast and long life, and have a good one.